So as that sits with y'all, I want to just give a little bit of history from my perspective and ground us in how we ended up here today, even though this is supposed to be February, but today at this time. So How Are the Children has been in the works for a while. That Legacy and Liberation was in the summer. But in December, we were in a My Brother's Keeper Winston-Salem steering committee meeting. And during the meeting, we heard about that a child had been stabbed at North Forsyth. And so we were immediately confronted with, okay, we're in this meeting. Our work for the past year and a half has been, how do we keep children in this community safe from violent crime? And we're meeting, and we've been meeting for a year and a half, but a child has died today while we are meeting. And so I think that some of this feels like, oh, How Are the Children disappeared? It's been being worked on, but in that moment of meeting, in the face of the death of a child in our community, meetings are no longer sufficient. And so I think, I am not on the Action for Equity team, but I work closely with them, and I know that they took time after that to think about, okay, what is a response worthy of this moment? As Mama Hazel said, like every community has their moment, every time period has their moment, and they have to decide what their response is going to be. And so How Are the Children is that response that meets the moment that we're in. And so I just wanted to ground us in really what this comes out of, because it's nothing frivolous. Investing in children is not radical, especially in the face of children dying in our community. So that's the first thing that I want to say. How are the children? You can go to the next slide. The phrase comes from the Maasai people of East Africa, and the warriors ask, how are the children? And the answer back is, the children are well. And that's for anybody, even if you don't have a child. If that is not the answer back, then we know that if the children are not well, the community is not well. So it's really a check-in on the health of the community, but through the lens of how children are doing. So this question that is posed to us about how are the children is really an opportunity for us to have a systems audit about the health of our community. And so we really want to shift the thinking right now, shift the culture around how we measure the well-being of our community, and really measuring that through the well-being of children. You can go to the next slide. We know in Winston-Salem, we can look at every indicator, every measure. We know that the children are not well. But what we also know is that a lot of us say that our work and our mission, or just our passion in life, is around making sure that children can thrive. So this is an opportunity to live into that mission. It is a moral imperative for those of us who know that children are the future and know that children have to have healthy lives in order to thrive in the future, and those of us who are invested in that. But it is not only a moral imperative. And that's why I'm so glad that Kenneth is here, because there's also an economic imperative and an economic case to be made for ensuring that the children are well. And that's really what How Are the Children is about. It's about both a cultural shift, a moral imperative, but also an economic case for investing in children's well-being. Kenneth?
Hello, everyone. So I'm tasked with really going over what it means for an economy to look at children more than just a moral argument. I know we love children, but the whole point of what I'm saying here today is for us to really look at how we make the economic case so that we can go into community, speak with elected officials, business leaders, the school board, state reps. We can actually speak to anybody when it comes to how are we changing the economy and what are our children actually here for. So by 2030, kind of the biggest issue that you're going to notice is our achievement gap. Your achievement gap starts to widen when you don't invest in children. When you don't invest in what it takes for your families to have what they need on the front end. The community will pay for it one way or another. It just comes in many forms on the back end. And so what we're seeing all the time is we're making complaints about what children need. We're putting it on parents. We're coming up with any excuse other than the reality, which is that we don't invest in families. And so we end up paying for that in all types of ways. So when you look at unemployment, when you look at property values, when you look at all of these things, our tax base shrinking, it is all connected to those realities. And what you'll notice in 2035, if we continue down this road, Winston-Salem will become economically distressed. And what that really means is that our community is not living up to what we should be according to our economy. So the size of our economy states that we should be making these investments, but we're investing like we're a smaller economy versus the true economic power of Forsyth County. And so what you'll notice is that we don't make these investments. There are certain communities that some of you may be aware of when you've heard about things in Flint or Youngstown or Gary, Indiana. These used to be boom towns. In many ways, driven by industry, the same way we were driven by tobacco. That's us. And as we shifted to healthcare, innovation, financial services, and other things in this economy, what we didn't do was invest in the people to move with it. And so what you end up doing is you leave people behind. And ultimately, if we don't make the investments that we're going to talk about, then you end up being a community that you actually don't want to be. What we have right now is an analysis when you look across Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Greenville, and Winston. You have these main indicators of achievement gap, business relocation, population growth, and median income growth. And you'll notice that the first three invested in why they have, then you see the achievement gap coming down. You see ours rising about 20%. So when you look at these different things, not only are we rising by 20%, they are by decreasing theirs, we're creating that gap of actually 35, right? Like, so not only about us not investing, do we become worse, our competitors in other cities are investing heavily and increasing the gap. And what that means is brain drain. That means people will come here for school, but they won't live here. That means that people will not invest here for long term. And you have businesses, because they can't get, you can't outsource the need for having talent in here. You can't do that fast enough. We can't grow. So we can't be this city of arts and innovation if we don't actually invest in that. And so what this is doing is actually showing you city, comparatively how we're doing in the economy. What we have here is basically when you look at this flat line across the top, you're looking at where we are if we made an investment. Unfortunately, on the track that we're actually headed on is the green line. We're losing $847 billion of impact per year. What you see in the left-hand corner is that over a decade. So you end up losing almost $8.5 billion, and the difference between these lines is potential. So what we're at is we're headed this way. If we actually made the investment that we need to make, we would actually start to close gaps. But what you're seeing is the difference between what we're willing to do and what we're willing to do and where we're actually at. And so this gap gives you the difference in between that. And what you'll see is that we never make that up. And this equates to $2.3 million every day. So that's a real cost that we pay when we don't invest in the youth and families on the front end and make them a problem. So I know there's definitely a lot to look up going on in this table right here, but so you have your indicators. So right here on the far left side, what you have is all of the different things that we would be tracking across the site. Family Power, My Brother's Keeper, just name the initiative. We're tracking all different things with people in this room and outside. And then what you have in each column are just different geography. So you have Forsyth County, North Carolina, United States, and then a specific census tract within Forsyth County. What you'll notice across the board is that we're winning in all the wrong ways, essentially. When you look at child poverty, we're at 23%, right? Whereas the state is at 18 and the country is doing better overall. But what you really, probably if there was anything you want to really look at is the top right-hand corner, because what that does is drill down into an actual census tract. And that shows the real disparity. That's the disparities that show up in classrooms when children don't have food. It's the disparities that show up when parents can't get their car fixed. All of these different things are coming from this number. So we have expectations in community that people are showing how they're showing up. They're showing up because 7 out of 10 of them don't know where their next meal is coming from, do not have health care, do not have adequate the services that they need on the vital conditions that they need. So that's where you're seeing. So when you compare a child that comes to school with these type of problems with somebody who doesn't, it's really apples and oranges. So what you'll end up seeing is throughout this, we are behind. And so you essentially start to see that in this census tract, as we get this data that's still outstanding, all of these numbers will for sure be much lower. You know, like when you look at third grade reading at 44%, this is probably 25%. This may be 20% or less of our children that are reading by the third grade in this tract, just because all of these things are connected. So they don't have access to resources. They don't have access to tutoring. They don't have parents that can be engaged sometimes because they're working multiple jobs. So all of these things end up to a growing disparity that we see in children that will live out and they'll never close that gap, unfortunately, which is why you hear when people are talking about upward mobility, it starts here. Like if you start off here, you're not getting out. And that's what it means. It's the simplest way. In Forsyth County, we have operationalized poverty in a way that we haven't seen in any other community. And that's why we have different partners and people looking at what we're doing, because we shouldn't be able to be doing what we're doing here based off of the investments that we don't make. And so what we're doing in Winston-Salem is definitely different. So this is from years ago. Nathan Hatch what he basically was saying is that we are not growing from the inside. You cannot import, you can't have enough festivals, you can't have enough things to get people here and then underfund all your children to live. It just doesn't work. What people want to do is they want to get out of the city, they want to leave Winston-Salem, and they don't want to come back. And that's because if you experience poverty, you will not want to come back. And this is what rings true for people in this community. And unfortunately, it's a cycle. And so when people do get out, they're glad they get out and they never come back. And so you end up with people who are just trapped essentially. And that's why we have to be in order to be a self-generating community, we're going to have to. Here, what you look at is basically downstream versus upstream. Generally, what we do is we invest all our money in emergency state of things. We say the children are hungry, give them food. We say give them backpacks every year, which you all see all of those things that we do to try to help. What this said is, why don't the parents have what they need so they can actually pay for what they need? Why aren't schools fully funded so parents aren't paying for school supplies? Like all of these things are connected, but if we continue to invest in the current state, which says, let me deal with the emergency today, and we do not focus on the fact that we cannot work ourselves out of this. There's not enough backpacks, there's not enough food supplies, there's not enough canned goods that you can give children that don't have anything that will make up for the gap of properly investing in public education. That's right.
I mean, you kind of already spoke to this slide, but this is just to say, this is the whole child continuum, but all those indicators that we looked at on that slide, that was a lot on the slide, are all connected. They are not separate things. They are all connected under kind of one umbrella, one strategy. And we can see that it starts down here at birth, and that this is where we really need to be investing in terms of what Kenneth just talked about upstream and downstream. This is where we need to be investing really 0 to 8 on this whole child continuum to get the largest return on that investment. And so how are the children? I think what we really want to drill home here is that it sits alongside this whole child continuum. It is not a new thing. It is not a new strategy, but it really is an investment in the whole child continuum, really looking at upstream earlier on the path. And it's not a replacement of anything that we've said before, but it's really just an evolution in the thinking and a case for making an economic investment in our children. So we have a lot of things that we want to get to today. And so I feel like we're right on time, which I'm so glad about. Our next portion of this is really to hear from some of the people in the community who are doing the work. And the first person that we're going to hear from is Karen. And do you look like you're prepared? So yeah, go right into it. So
Somebody turn on the microphone.
And I can handle this one too. But I'm gonna let you go, and then after Karen will be Amari speaking.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's so good to see everyone. I was sent some questions, and I'm 65 and older, so I have to bring something with me for all of those in 65 and older. So my first question was, how are the children? So I'm in schools, and I see it firsthand. I'm at Kimberly Park, and I do work at Parkland all well. Our children are struggling emotionally. They are disconnected from opportunity and too often underprepared for the future. That is our reality. And scripture reminds me in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and our future. Our children lack hope if they're in Winston-Salem. If that promise is true, then our systems must reflect it. It is not a maybe. It is a must. And we cannot preach hope and build structures that produce despair. And we're in despair right now. And so I'm representing Skyland Forest today. Everybody remember Skyland Elementary? Well, we bought Skyland Quarters, the Feeling Friends Emotional, that's your long name right there. We bought Skyland Quarters and we named it Skyland Quarters. And that's why we exist, to align our systems with the future that our children deserve. So how are we going to do it? What are we going to do? That's my next question. We are building an educational destination model rooted in hope, structure, and measurable outcomes. At Skyland's Quarters, emotional intelligence, y'all know that's what I do, is the foundational. Education is going to be coordinated and workforce pathways so we don't lose our people, are intentional. Through the Feeling Friends Community Center, emotional wellness, because if we're not well, and we have generational unwellness right now, if we're not well, then there's nothing we can do. It becomes the backbone, not an afterthought. It will be the backbone of what we do, not an afterthought. Children, families, and educators, and workforce participants operate within one ecosystem. It's just not another program. It is going to be a system designed to deliver on the promise of hope and a future. So the next question, well, how are you going to do it, Karen? How's it going to get done? We're going to align the work under one roof. Allocate funds, strengthen infrastructure to expand programming and allow us to measure what matters. Emotional intelligence growth, credentials earned, workforce placement, because we're going to document those outcomes. We refine the model to build sustainability. Because I go back to Jeremiah 29, it's not abstract. Hope requires structure. And Skyland's Quarters is designed to do that design. So, when we ask, how are the children? We will not answer with statistics. We will answer with systems. They are emotionally strong. Our children are educationally prepared. They are economically positioned for the future. And it's not going to be by accident. It's not going to be by charity. It's going to be by design. Because when we align our structures with the promise of hope and the future, our children begin to thrive and begin to live inside that promise. And that foundation is the foundation of what we're going to do at Skyland Quarters. That's it.
All right, here to represent the youth, so right on time.
Question. So, why youth matter and why our voice should be heard is because I realize while talking to my peers, some of their dreams been dismissed. Some of their dreams been some of their dreams been dismissed. Some of their dreams been it doesn't matter. And when we do tell our adults what's the matter, like what's going on with us, how do we feel? But then I feel like they just push it aside, like, oh, it's gonna be okay, just keep focused. And I feel like that's just putting a band-aid on a deep wound. So when they have a place where they can express themselves and tell people how we feel and what we believe will help us thrive, I believe that will make us become who we need to be and have our dreams back.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit just about the youth council and how you are helping youth voice be heard?
So my goal is to create a space where youth can be heard and lead initiatives and solutions. So we will be in a room where it will just be us as well, but a certain amount of adults that's really there to listen to us and provide solutions and resources so we can go back and give it back to our peers. Because yes, it's good adults go and give us what we need and we feel like, okay, we got some snacks or we got what we need to. But like it's different. It's different when we have our peers coming up because we feel like, oh, I can relate to you. We went through the same thing, and now I can believe I can do the same thing. Because we tired of tearing each other down as well. So we just want to go.
What's the name of the youth?
Umoja Youth Council.
Thank you, Amara, and thank you for your work. Thank you for your work with youth. I'm gonna turn it over now to Ashley and then to Shantae to talk about how you can continue to be connected to the How Are the Children work and some upcoming events, and also give you an opportunity to explore what we have set up in the building.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Kazoo. I'm VP of Policy and Strategy. So as Asharon has talked about, we have been working towards this How Are the Children campaign, even though it hasn't something that's been fully at the forefront. I'm not sure how many of you have attended. I see a couple of familiar faces, but starting back in August, there were the Justice for Every Child Manifesto workshops. They were geared towards really bringing the community together to say what they wanted to see in their school system for their children, for them to be able to thrive. We were able to engage youth as well as community members at different levels. And we got a lot of good feedback around what they wanted to see. We were able to kind of whittle that down to a couple of things that I don't think would surprise anybody in this room who has been connected to education or even just care about children in general. So through this, we've been able to take that information. And one thing we're going to be moving forward is a policy form. And so even though I know we're a little bit behind, we were supposed to do this in February, it's kind of great that we do this today because today is the day of election day for the primaries. And fortuitous of that, this policy forum is really kind of geared towards bring together to kind of get towards what are those policy shifts and changes that we need to do so we can have systems change. To get at what we're talking about, it's not only going to take funding, but it's going to take people in positions who are willing to make those shifts and those changes so that we can have a structure in place that really does serve our community as well as our youth. So we can really say our children are well. So that policy form will be coming up in May. We'll have a flyer and more details coming out soon as we continue in this process. I want to just highlight, while we do want you to attend, we also want you to attend and think about the actionable things that you can bring into the room, what organizations need to be there. Also just thinking about how we can bring our talents, because one thing we know is that we are a part of this whole community. So everyone in this room, you come in today, but each one of you have a talent, you have a passion, you have something you can bring into a room that can help move something forward. I also like to say we all have relationships too. So everyone in this room probably knows someone. They may have grown up with someone who's now in certain positions that probably need to be in these spaces. Invite them out. And to follow up with that, we do have folks in this room right now who are doing great work. And again, through relationships, they are making ways so that in 7 years, our generations of students and youth like Amari and those who come after him are going to be able to have a system that is in place. So I want to highlight that in the next room, we have folks who we call better ancestors who are doing work in the community, whether that is advocating for housing, whether that's advocating for our youth with Karen, Ms. Tanya Sheffield and Ms. Johnny Laurie over there, who are doing great things in our community. And just want to invite you to this session. We're going to have some time to go over and just look and see, understand the work that they're doing and how you could possibly lend to it, how you can possibly increase their visibility in the work that they're doing. Just take some time and not just leave afterwards, but go and join us and kind of celebrating what they're doing and how we can move it forward. Good afternoon. Oh no, that was super dry. Good afternoon. Oh, absolutely. It sounds a lot better. Thank you guys. My name is Shantae Graham. I am grateful and blessed to be
in front of you guys today. I do see a lot of familiar faces and good to see you all again. I am the founder and director of Full Circle Mentoring, Partners with Action for Equity. I serve as a mother first, a social worker, and a community advocate that will fight to my last breath for our youth. I believe in Winston-Salem. I believe in our youth, and I believe in the power of unity. The biggest thing I want to say and for people to take away with them today is let's start to lead with love. Love covers a multitude of many things, including all of our sins. And so if we just start there, we can become a better community. We can become a better city, state, and nation. And let's continue to pray for our leadership as well. I want to invite you all, pull out your phones, if you have your phones, if you have a pen, piece of paper, take note of the date, April 25th. Everybody has an opportunity to show up, be a part of. We want to bring out thousands and thousands of people to downtown Winston-Salem to make a huge impact for our March for the Youth. It is actually called the March on Forsyth. That's just what it is. We want to show up in droves, individuals, corporations, institutions, churches, you name it. Bring your grandchildren, your granddad. I want to make sure that we are showing what solidarity looks like, what unity looks like. Let's stand up for our kids. Let's make a statement. Sometimes, I think we all know that sometimes you don't have to say a word. Just being present can show up and speak louder than any amount of words being spoken. And so this is an opportunity for everybody. I got a good picture memory. I'm looking for y'all faces on April. But this is an opportunity for everybody. So please share this date, take note of this. We also are welcoming volunteers for this day. So if there is something you guys know you have a heart or a passion, you know what it takes and what it looks like to make sure that a great rally goes well. I want to hear from you all, and there's opportunity in it for you all to be a part of this. But if nothing else, showing up speaks louder than words, and so I will be blessed to see you all on that day. And again, my name is Shantae Graham, and as a community leader and director of Full Circle Mentoring, I serve students and families in one of Winston-Salem's most under-resourced and underserved communities. The How Are the Children campaign and this march means the most to me because I see every single day what underinvestment costs our children. I work with students who are carrying trauma into classrooms, families who are choosing between stability and survival, and young people whose brilliance is often overlooked simply because of their zip code. These are not failures of children or families. They are failures of systems that have not invested at the scale required for children to truly thrive. This march is personal because the children we are marching for are the same children I mentor, advocate for, and love. We demand $100 million for children. We are not asking for charity by far. We are insistent on dignity, opportunity, and a future that matches their potential. So on Saturday, April 25th, 2026, community members from across Forsyth County will gather for the How Are the Children? March on Forsyth, a powerful call to action launching the $100 million campaign for the children. Churches, schools, nonprofits, students, families, and local organizations will unite in downtown Winston-Salem for a countywide march that solely focuses on one central question. How are the children? And what are we willing to do about their well-being? The march will start in Corbin Plaza and conclude at Corbin Plaza. We will do a whole square around that area and return back to Corbin Plaza. Then, as we're concluding, we're centering the voices of our young people, educators, faith leaders, and advocates who see firsthand the urgent need facing our children today. This march is not a protest. It's a declaration of responsibility, love, and collective commitment. It calls for bold, sustained investment in children's mental health, education, family stability, safe and supportive environment. The event will serve as both a public witness and a launch pad for long-term action, inviting individuals and institutions alike all to stand together and invest in a future where every child of Forsyth County can thrive. The march is strategic, it's not symbolic. The March on Forsyth is not a one-day event, it's a strategic intervention. Marching and rallying are technologies for building collective power. They create shared meaning, shared urgency, and a visible we that decision makers cannot ignore. The march is designed to shift public narrative around children and investment, demonstrate broad multi-general alignment, create moral and political pressures for bold action, launch a sustained campaign, and not conclude one. Participants will understand that their presence is power, and that this moment is a part of a larger arc of change. With our bodies, our voices, and our commitment, we are making a very collective statement. We declare we resist the myth of scarcity. We reject the idea that children must wait for help. We refuse zero-sum thinking that pits communities against one another. We affirm that Black and brown children thriving ensures all children are thriving. We are naming truth out loud. Our community is wealthy. What has been lacking is political will, not resources. We're demanding better for children is an act of love. If that makes us radical, then be my guest. We'll be radical. This march is across and taking us from the old shore where things were done certain ways to a brand new shore. The old shore where there were chronic underinvestments, fragmented reactive interventions, children were treated as a line item or afterthoughts, where communities were asked to do more with less. We're moving from that old shore to the new shore that consists of investments that match the scale of the crisis, where children are centered in budget and in policy, a place where co-governance and I'll say it again, authentic civil engagement exists. Joy, love, and dignity are promoted on this shore as organizing principles. The March on Forsyth is not about asking for permission to arrive at the new shore, but it's about moving there together as one unit. I was asked, Shante, what does success look like? Success is both felt and measured by emotional and cultural outcomes. Participants feel connected, grounded, and activated. I need all y'all to be activated. There will be a shared sense of we are all in this together. We truly are. This is all, if one child fails, this is all of our problem. We're all responsible. There are children and youth that will feel seen, heard, and valued, and people will leave with clarity, not confusion about what's next. I'm speaking all of this stuff into existence. Thousands publicly will align with the $100 million demand. Decision makers will feel visible pressure and accountability. The campaign will gain volunteers, donors, and partners. The media's narrative, I see somebody writing, I know you from the journal. The media's narrative will have no choice but to center children and investment. Success is when people stop asking, is this possible? And start asking, how fast can we make it happen? My ask for you all is that you become the winds of momentum. As we close this afternoon, I guess I'm the closer. So as we close this afternoon, I issue one charge. It's not an ending, but definitely a charge. Go online, sign the commitment, decide what your role is in this movement. Ashley said it earlier, Karen said it earlier. There's a lot of people in here that we're people that know people that know people. What is your role in this movement? Because see, on the old shore, we were taught to wait, to be patient, and to accept less. Yeah. But baby, on the new shore, we understand that momentum is created by people who move, even when the path isn't fully clear. Be the winds of momentum is what I charge you all with today. Carry the message into your churches, your schools, your workplaces, your homes. Bring other people into the campaign. Show up consistently. I spoke about showing up earlier. Show up consistently, not just one time. Hold all leaders accountable across the board. Lead with courage. I said it in the video. Sometimes what we say may take us to the back of the line because it's not popular. If back of the line is where we need to go to stand firm and stand tall, then I'll be back there just as happy and smiling. Momentum is not magic, people. It is people choosing to move together. The March on Forsyth is a declaration. It says our children matter. Our values belong in the budget.
Good word, Chantal.
Love demand action. The march is very strategic. The rally is intentional. The campaign is necessary. We march because we believe. We rally because we're ready.
Right.
We commit because our children deserve nothing less. How are the children? And now that I've asked the question, what are you willing to do about it? Thank you all.
Dante was definitely the closer, and I really do not want to come up after that. But I do want to invite you to go next door to look at the gallery there. That was one of the follow-up things that Ashley was talking about, and we'll see y'all at the rally.